Hi, I'm DM Galabond, and this is Lore Friday for June 5th, 2020. So today on Lore Friday, we are going to be looking at the Necromancer's Cave. It is the last of the level 1 tuned adventures that comes out of the Princes of the Apocalypse uh, sourcebook campaign, if you will. There's a number of little adventures that happen right around the starting town of Red Larch that are designed to get your characters from level 1 up to level 3. Necromancer's Cave is the most elaborate of the 3 level 1 adventures, and it's the only one that comes with a map and a bit of a backstory. There's an insane and reclusive necromancer who has styled himself the Lord of Lance Rock. And over in the area of Lance Rock, which is near Red Larch, there is a cavern complex where he is in fact practicing his necromancy. And so we're going to go ahead and open this up here, show you a little bit more about this area. Um, there's this entry cave complex, a couple of chambers, this little chamber that has an elevated tunnel going off this way, and then uh, a large area over here, and there's this little winding stairway that you may or may not be able to see very clearly here, but when you get the map into a tool like Roll20 and expand it out, it's pretty clear to see. Workbench area, and then all the way back here, there's kind of like a little private sanctum. And notice on this one that instead of using 5-foot squares, this map actually uses 10-foot squares. So all considered, this is a very large complex for a low-level adventure. Not too terribly complicated in the layout, but very large. So as you enter the cave, the party will find a body, which turns out to be a zombie, which animates if it's touched. And then there are more zombies and skeletons strategically scattered throughout this place. Some of them are just in position to trigger traps if the party walks that way. And then there's also like the little crawling claws, which is a sort of severed undead hands that just kind of crawl around like spiders, and they can be very creepy things, and you get a group of them together and they can be dangerous to a first level character. And then finally it goes back to a workshop area. There's more zombies, and then there's the Necromancer himself. And so the Necromancer is a CR2 monster, which makes him the toughest thing in the entire dungeon. The zombies are CR1/4, crawling claws are CR0, and the skeletons are CR1/4. So they're all kind of real wimpy little enemies. Now, there is a pretty nice little reward for the party that goes in here, and that is that the Necromancer has this wand of magic missiles. And so if you defeat the wizard and loot all his stuff, then one of your members of your party can get this little wand of magic missiles, which is kind of nice. There's also a drift globe, and then there is a sigil that um, there's a sigil that hangs in above a pedestal in the area of the worksheet, and that the implication is that maybe looking at that thing too long has kind of driven this necromancer kind of off the deep end. And he says something about, he says something about it's the eye, it's the eye, it sees your every move. Don't you fear it? Uh, and as the characters research what this eye is, they eventually come to realize that that symbol is the symbol of the Elder Elemental Eye, tied to an ancient cult worshiping elemental evil. And oh, by the way, lots of strange things are happening in this area, and lo and behold, it turns out that the strange happenings are evidence that there are various aspects of this cult of the Elder Elemental Eye that are starting to pop up. Only this time, there are 4 separate and competing cults. Uh, Ones that are loyal to elemental air, then elemental earth, then elemental water, then elemental fire. So, um, but this little adventure has your party go fight some creepy undead, get rid of a person who's a potential, who's kind of a menace to the local population and this crazy old necromancer, and they get some pretty nifty loot out of it for being first level characters. Um, get a magical light source in the drift globe and a wand of magic missiles. So yeah, I mean uncommon items, but still, it beats it beats scrounging for coppers and silvers. So that's a nice thing. And the after a necromancer has been using this place, nobody would probably want it, but I suppose that for some parties, they might say, "Oh, well, we could just clear this place out and turn it into, something of a, hideout or stronghold or something like that, for their own purposes after they get done with it." Eh, up to the party to see what they would want to do. But that is about it for this particular little adventure. Now, of course, as we go deeper into this story, just as we expanded on and started going through the um, Tyranny of Dragons campaign, as you get deeper in, um, they get more elaborate and there's more to each of the adventures. Uh, but for a level 1 adventure, this is kind of nice. The cave complex is interesting. Um, and the fact that it's Necromancer and basic undead, that makes it really easy if you want to pop it into a homebrew campaign as something for a low level party. Or, of course, you can depopulate it and repopulate it with other kinds of monsters to make it suitable for a higher level campaign. You can go in and, like I said, use it with other editions of the game because all the monsters are kind of standard. Hey, and it's it easily stands on its own. As an entire adventure, most of these campaigns, with some with more work than others, could be transposed to a different edition. Now, the thing I like best about this is I like the way there's a subtle clue in one part of this adventure that leads you on to the larger adventure. So, if you were going to drop this in a homebrew game, you would want to take that little symbol of the Elder Elemental Eye, and you want to pluck that out, and you want to replace it with something that makes sense for your campaign. But that way, there's something that seems a little random and seems a little inconsequential that then takes the party and sort of steers them back in the direction of the main story, so they can go off track without, derailing the whole campaign and wasting a whole lot of time doing something that turns out to be non-productive or counterproductive. Then let me see, what else do we talk about? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, history on the campaign. Princes of the Apocalypse came out in 2015. It was the second campaign-length adventure published by Wizards of the Coast for 5th edition, following just a few months after the publication of Tyranny of Dragons. I think it was April of 2015 that this came out. And so it's been something that people have played a lot over the last few years as 5e has gained more and more popularity. I would be curious if you are one of those people who has played through Princes of the Apocalypse and encountered this Necromancer's Cave. What did you think of this one as a player? What did you think about running this as a DM? Did you run it, in fact, for a first level party, or did you have a higher level party? And have you ever taken this and dropped it into a homebrew game, and how did that go? Does it indeed fit fairly well with just changing a couple of minor details here and there to drop into a homebrew game? Seems like it really would. Okay, you can put all of the information down in the comments if you have any thoughts on this particular one. Also, while you're at it, I'd ask you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. That will let you know when we post new content to this channel. We're here every Friday talking about a new adventure from D&D 5e, talking about how you can use it in your own game, what the interesting aspects of it are, and those types of things. What the most challenging encounters in it are. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. We will see everybody back here next week. And don't forget that every day we drop content on this channel. Tomorrow we will be looking at an item, a piece of armor, or a weapon out of D&D for Combat Saturday. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful evening. Peace out. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.